So I think that one works. All right. Welcome everybody to our second session of our third day. We're excited that we are going to have an undergraduate panel for all of you who are prepping to enter into the University of Utah or just have some of the resources that our three students, current undergraduate students have. You can ask them any of the questions. But today we'll be having Kalei lead our panel. And then if you all have questions, usually when we have this in person, Kehao and I leave, and then it's just a student panel. We'll be here, we'll be on hand if you have any questions, but it's more of a peer-to-peer question and answer so that you can get a feel for that. And I think that Kalei is awesome at doing this. And Kalei, do we have your bio? I just realized. Let me read your bio as because I've done Mana's. So I'm gonna introduce Kalei, who will be moderating, and you all already know Kalei just a little bit, but she'll share more about herself through the panel. Let me pull that up real quick. My apologies. So I just want to say a little bit about Kalei. We've had the pleasure and privilege of working with Kalei for almost 2 years now, going on Hakalei. And Kalei came to us right after her mission, and we are so sad, Cal and I, that we won't have the team that we've had, because it's really helpful to continue to have continuity even with our undergraduate staff. And so I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of her bio, but we're excited for what Kalei has done and is going to do in the future. So I'm just doing a quick overview of Kalei. Kalei grew up on the west side of Salt Lake City, just graduated from the University of Utah in sociology with an emphasis in criminology and a creative writing minor. She is interested in the stories of people and was able to serve for 1.5 years in New York City, where she was able to meet and talk with people from different backgrounds. Before this service, she was a tutor for students from refugee families and worked on an urban farm in Glendale. As a former Pacifica ambassador for the University Neighborhood Partners and the University of Utah Pacific Island Studies Initiative, she's grateful for the experiences that taught her more about her Pacific Islander communities here in Utah. She's excited to support the Pacifica Scholar Summer Institute now as an undergraduate intern. And in her spare time, she loves movies, listening to all types of music, and hanging out with family, friends, and 2 dogs, Whittle and Pascal. So I'll turn the time over to Kalei.
All right, thank you, Mona. And welcome everybody to our undergraduate student panel. I'm super excited. And I just wanna remind the scholars to please be thinking of questions to ask our students. And I just wanna let everyone know that this is a safe space. You know, we've been creating and growing this space throughout these past couple of days. So no shame at all, ask questions away, you know, and get to know our awesome students that are here. And so before I begin, I just want to quickly mention that all of us were Pacifica ambassadors, all of us are panelists. And through our initiative we have here at the University of Utah, there's a program like the Summer Bridge program for you all right now, but we also offer undergraduate student internships, which is the Pacifica ambassadors. So as an ambassador, you spend the year working within Pacific Islander communities at different sites. So I'll just let our panelists tell you more about that after I introduce them. But without further ado, I'd like to just briefly introduce our panelists. So our first panelist is Will Satini. He is studying biology and chemistry here at the University of Utah. This is his 3rd year at the U. Will was a Pacifica ambassador for Jake Fitisemanu, and he worked heavily with the Utah Pacific Island Studies Initiative, the Utah Pacific Island Health Coalition, and also with COVID and health drives for our communities. And our next panelist is Joy Kavapalu, and you've met her the first day, I think, yeah. And Joy is studying Health, Society, and Policy and International Studies with a certificate in Pacific Island Studies. She is in her, I think, 4th year now at the U. And Joy worked with Saulo Bitham, who you'll meet on Friday. She worked as a Pacifica ambassador for University Neighborhood Partners and the Westside Leadership Institute. So yeah, that was just my brief introduction of both of them. If you'd like to read more about them in their bios, you can see it on Canvas too. But I just want to start out by asking our panelists to please just introduce yourselves a little bit further and also share some highlights of your educational journey. So, you know, what brought you to the University of Utah? What's it like being a student at the U, and what led you or who led you here to the University of Utah? And I'll just start with Will since I introduced you first, and then we'll just popcorn out from there.
Hello, everyone. Will here. I guess Kalei did a good job in introducing me, but yeah, I'm full Tongan. I was born and raised in Tonga. Went to high school there as well, and I came out here, first attended BYU. I know. Was only there for a semester, and then I transferred here to the U. What I really like about the U is the community and just, I don't know, yeah, the sense of community that the U offers. Wherever you come from, me being a kid from Tonga, obviously found my people there that I just chill with, and they've helped me a lot to progress through these past 3 years or 2 years going on 3, and has gotten me to where I am today and where I've met all these wonderful people, Mana and Kehal and Kalei and them. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to today and looking forward to talk more about the U and hopefully answer some of your questions, but yeah.
Clay, do you want me to answer next?
Oh yeah, you can.
Hi everyone, my name is Joy. Like Clay mentioned, I'm using the she, her pronouns. And again, like you heard, I'm in my senior year now, so I'm just nearing the finish line for my undergrad. I'm really hyped up about it. And I would say, okay, let me figure out what I'm gonna say. And then I'm half Tongan, half Fijian. My dad is from Kolomotua, and then my mom is from Tailevu, Fiji. And I was born in Hawaii back when my parents were attending BYU Hawaii. And then I've been raised here in Taylorsville, Utah. So I went to school here, like in the local community. I've been raised with like the thriving Pacific Islander community that we have in Salt Lake City. And yeah, and then now I'm here at the University of Utah. To speak a little bit more about like how I came to the U. I would say in high school, I really did not want to come to the U. I wanted to get out of Utah as fast as possible. I had like big dreams of being an out-of-state student, leaving behind, you know, whatever high school self I had here. But you know, money talks, and in-state tuition at the U was a lot cheaper than anywhere else I was going to go. So that's how I ended up here. And honestly, I look back at it and I think I am so fortunate to have come to the U. I've seen so much personal growth for me. And I think there's a really strong power in being rooted in your own community, in your higher education experience. So especially with things like the Pacifica Scholars Program, which has put me back in my community in a different position now as a student, as an intern, as, you know, someone who like is more passionate about grassroots and being in the community. I've been really fortunate to be at home and working in the community and learning about my own people, because so like as you've seen in the Summer Institute, like we've talked about a lot of things that are specific to Utah. And so that has been really transformative for me coming to the U. So that's my spiel when people are like, oh, I want to go out of state. And I'm like, yeah, do it. But also like, I think that the U is also unique in that like it has the Pacifica program. And if I had gone to maybe like some other out of state school, I don't know that I would have had that opportunity. So that's kind of my educational journey. Also, like things that I'm now that I'm about to graduate, I have a lot of big choices that have to be made that I've been pushing off for a really long time. So the pressure is on to like apply to things. So I feel you all if you're like transferring or like coming to the U of like big choices. I'm also at another crossroads. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you both. I think I'll share a little bit of my journey as well. I shared a little bit on the first day, but I was similar to Joy when I started out going to college. I don't even know how long it's been anymore, but when I started out, I wanted to go out of state too. I applied to like so many different places, but the U was had the most resources for me, and I just felt like it was the best opportunity for me to just go to college and have that scholarship. And so I went, but I felt like there was still like a piece missing. I don't know. I was just a commuter student. I would go on and off campus. So I took a break in between and served a mission in New York. And that really just taught me to talk with people. Like it's okay to talk with people. It's okay to find community. And then when I came back from my mission, that's what I did. I sought out community. And I found that community with the Pacific Island Studies Initiative, with Saulo in the west side of Salt Lake. And I kind of discovered Salt Lake again. You know, you grow up and you like stay in the same place at home and you're like, oh, I want to go, like need to get off island or need to get, you know, away from my hometown. But coming back to it after having that experience outside of it, I really saw the value in, you know, coming back and teaching the youth and realizing like, oh, Salt Lake has so much to offer and there's so many people here who need the knowledge that we get, but we also learn from them. And so that kind of leads to, you know, our next question, which is, what was your Pacifica ambassador internship like? And what were some things that you learned about our communities? And how did that help you in your journeys through college? And I'll just throw it back at it to Joy, if she can share.
Yeah, I can go ahead and speak to that a little bit. So again, I worked with Saulo in the West Side Leadership Institute, and which is housed in the University Neighborhood Partners. So for folks who are unfamiliar, University Neighborhood Partners really tries to bridge the gap between the university and the local community. So you know, being more integrated as a higher education institution with whatever the community needs. And so specifically at the West Side Leadership Institute, that's where we offer college courses to community members who are trying to get involved in community organizing, you know, starting their own nonprofits, type of work. And so I was kind of like a TA essentially for one of the classes. And so I would take attendance and work with the students to complete their assignments. And the class I was the TA for was called Startups. And it's for the students who have gone through like the, you know, like introductory courses. And now they're really getting into the like meat of starting a nonprofit. So they had a whole, like all of our students had their own missions and initiatives that they were trying to accomplish. There was some folks who were working to like help gain access to like prenatal care and like other maternity needs care for Latinx communities in Salt Lake. So making sure that, you know, they had like doulas and midwives that speak Spanish and just like getting all that prenatal training in Spanish. There was the Pacific Autism Alliance who was like working towards building community and just like offering resources for Pacifica parents of people with autism. And so there was just like a lot of cool things that are happening. And I was really able to work with those folks who were trying to get those nonprofits off the ground in whatever stage they were at. Some people had already like registered as a 501c and just needed some like further guidance on getting donors. Some people just had an idea and they needed to like build out their whole nonprofit from the ground up, which we were happy to help with. But it was really, really empowering and like eye-opening for me as an intern, just to see people and like community folks, you know, who I may see at the cookout doing really cool things that they were passionate about and working towards something that our community needed. They found a need and they addressed it with something that they knew they could provide. And so it was really powerful for me to work with all of them. And then all the folks at WLI and UNP were really kind and awesome. And they just have a lot of great insights to offer about connecting, especially like marginalized communities, and getting them to be more civically engaged and empowered. So love the work we did. I learned so much, and I really think that it like helped guide me in like what I think I want to do in the future as a career, and just how I see myself and the role I play in my community too. So yeah, do the internship. If you get to work with Saulo, good for you, because that was a great experience.
Will, would you like to share?
Yeah, so I worked with Jake Fitisimanu. He chairs the Utah Pacific Islander Health Coalition. You may or may not know about UPEC for short, but they basically do a lot of health advocacy, advocating for health policies that would benefit Pacific Islanders who are, for the most part, I guess have a hard time accessing good healthcare or just accessing healthcare in general. And so because I joined last year, we had a focus on COVID because obviously that was the biggest and most prevalent problem that we had in the community. And so we're doing COVID testing sites all over West Valley and all over the Tongan wards or Tongan stakes that we have. We just go to stake centers or like the Tongan Methodist Church, or we went to the Samoan Assembly of God church. And so we just opened those up. We did testing. First of all, that just had people on site who knew how to speak Tongan and Samoan that would understand those that were coming in. They felt more comfortable speaking in their own language. And then we then grew from there to vaccine rollouts when they first came out in the beginning of the year, this year. And so we did all of that all over again, just throughout our PI community here in Salt Lake. And it just actually just finished. We did our last vaccine drive about 2 weeks ago. And so, yeah, we've been doing a lot of that with UPIC. And so through all of those experiences, I've learned about, just because I'm not from here, so I don't really know about the PI community here locally. And so it was a great opportunity to just get out there and get involved and get to know people that I guess are influential, like Jake. He's a councilman, I think, for the city of West Valley. And so it was just a great opportunity to make new connections with people here locally, introduce myself to, I got to find family members that I didn't even know, that like first cousins of mine that I haven't even met my whole life because we just never had the opportunity. But because I was out there doing the work locally, I've gained those connections, learned about their daily struggles and how I could help them through our efforts in Utah Pacific Islander Health Coalition. And so, yeah, that was just a really cool experience to have, especially with the zero experience that I have as an undergrad student. And it was just a really great opportunity to be out there and just to be involved, and to learn more about our Pacific Islander community and what they're dealing with, which is quite a lot. I bet probably if you guys are from here in Salt Lake, you probably know more about that than I do. But from the windows of my experiences here, I've learned a little bit. I've actually changed majors just because of that whole experience. I used to double major in biology and chemistry. I'm still doing that as a minor, so I'm minoring in biology and chemistry, but I'm now doing anthropology with a health emphasis. And so really cool. It's a new program that the U just created like a few years ago, probably like 2 years ago. Not many people know about it, but we're studying anthropology, but intertwined with, so it's basically a study of culture and how culture affects our health and how our cultural decisions affects our well-being spiritually, which is something we don't talk about in the healthcare industry, which is something our Tongan culture is, I guess, has a heavy emphasis on, is like your spirituality, the health of your spirituality is as important as the health of your physical body, which is something I am studying right now and something I'm really interested in and enjoy studying as well. And so, yeah, I'm sorry if I went on a long tangent there, but.
No, you're good. That's awesome. Yeah, that's super exciting. And thank you both for sharing. I was also at UMP like Joy, and I worked with Jake Fitisemanu, and we did so for the Westside Leadership Institute, like she mentioned, last year I did the Samoan language version of that. And so we taught mostly Pacific Islander. It was a mixed class, but we just taught leadership skills. It was the level, I think, below the startups. And so you just keep on like moving forward to startups. So this was the first level to teach people to get involved, how they could even, start thinking about planning for a small business or startup and a nonprofit. And so that whole experience taught me a lot about our communities here. Like I used to just chill in the house and just be like watching movies and stuff. But it really got me out there to the community and talking with other people and getting involved with a lot of civic engagement opportunities and stuff, talking and seeing like politics unfold, seeing people in leadership positions. And then this year I was an undergraduate research fellow, and I was doing research under Dr. Vaughn. And it was super cool because I was able to mix my sociology background with education, and I was learning a lot of both of those things. And my research was on the Black Lives Matter movement and social movements and our cultural values and traditions and how we do things and how that influences our relationships with other groups who are fighting for different causes. And I really focused this year on the Faumu, Tuhu and all that, and how that plays a part in social movements, how that influences social movements. And it was a crazy experience. Like I was trying to graduate and it was just like super crazy, but doing the research really helped me to see how powerful we are as a community and how much we need to come together at times. There's crazy things that happen with the pandemic and super crazy things in the world in general. And so being able to see youth and elders come together during these movements to fight against the wrongs that were done to each of our communities was a really powerful experience. And so, yeah, if you have opportunities to explore and be with our communities and learn from all of our leaders and even the youth as well, it's super fun and really cool to see. And I just want to follow up too, with the University of Utah in general and with community work in general. What other things have you done at the University of Utah or are involved with that you would like to share about? This could be, other community work at the U, fraternities, sororities, Greek life, different things like that. So either one can share first.
I guess I'll go first since Joy went first last time. I like to think that I'm involved in campus. I used to live in campus housing. Living on campus is an experience that everyone needs to have. I lived on campus for the first 2 years of my first 2 years, so like basically just moved out last month out of campus. But if you get that opportunity, I would highly recommend that. I think Joy also lives on campus as well. But yeah, you'll get to meet some really cool people. get to make some, get to do some networking as well. I also joined a fraternity. I'm a member of ATO, Alpha Tau Omega, on campus as well. I know that's a super white person thing to do, but yeah, it's been great. I'm trying to have the full American college experience, which has been going pretty well so far. I would say Greek life is a great opportunity to not only meet good people, but also develop leadership skills through joining the fraternity. I have been elected to be in the exec board, so I'm the philanthropy chair. So my responsibility is to set up philanthropy week, which is something the fraternities and sororities on campus will do throughout the fall and the spring semester. Well, they will have a designated week where they will try to raise as much money as possible. I did mine this past semester, and we raised like $15,000. And all of that was from like donations from companies. We did a TikTok competition, and so yeah, it was a really great opportunity to be involved in that. We're setting one for the fall, and so that's our big one that's coming up in the fall. And so all of that money is going towards charities of our choice. So we picked Urban Centers in Salt Lake, which is a food bank that mostly caters the homeless people. And so they give out lunch bags for homeless people. And so we all donated that money into that food bank, which I will talk about later. Yeah, so that's one of many fun things we do in a fraternity. I also played rugby in the rugby team for a whole year, so that was pretty fun. I just quit because I didn't enjoy being in pain, but I've also gotten old, and so a lot of new kids are coming in, so I was just like, I'm just move on and do other things. But there's plenty of opportunities to be involved in sports groups and sport clubs on campus. There's a bubble soccer one that I'm also in. And so you have a lot of cool things to be involved in. I also am involved in the, I forgot what the volunteering services center is on campus. I forgot what it's called, but they assigned me to work with a nonprofit that's off campus, which is the one that I mentioned earlier that we donated all the money to. So I just volunteer with them every Thursday for 5 hours. I just go and help pack up lunch bags and also help hand them out to homeless people in Salt Lake. And so, yeah, that's, I guess that's a scope of what I do. Oh, I'm also a research fellow, just like Kalei. I'm doing research with Dr. Bell. He's an anthropology professor on campus. I think he's half Tongan, and I forgot what his other half was, but he's mostly Tongan. I just help him and his research we were supposed to go to Tonga this past summer, but obviously Tonga is closed due to COVID. But yeah, you'll have a lot of opportunities at the U to just engage with not only with your local community, but also with other students. And it's an experience that I would recommend everyone to get into. But yeah, I hope I answered your question, Kalei.
Okay, yeah, I can go next. Well, I'm the only person. Anyway, so yeah, I second what Will said. I've lived on campus and will live on campus for my entire undergraduate. I have feelings about that, mixed feelings, but I would say 100% that your first year you should live on campus, just because, when you're trying to figure out who you want to be friends with, what you want to get involved with, living on campus is a really great way to like kind of figure all that out. And then from then on out, find cheaper rent, because it's not worth the money, in my opinion, living on campus. That's like being honest. Even they're going to try and sell you a meal plan, it's not worth it. The food ain't that great and it's overpriced. So if you want the real, yeah, that's the real. Do it the first year, out the next. So anyway, that's housing. And then other things. So I know that people are like, Freddie, you're like in your 4th year, right? So you've already been on campus, so this might not be super helpful. Other folks, I'm not sure if you're coming to the U. I think some folks are transferring or like going to Slick first and then going to transfer later. So I'm going to try and make this a little bit more general, but something that the U has, and I'm pretty sure other institutions do as well, is the Benyon Center. And that's just the name for it on campus. But the Benyon Center at the University of Utah is kind of the hub for community engagement and volunteering opportunities for students. And that is where most of my engagement, like my involvement on campus, has come from. And it's like probably one of the happier things that I've done, if that makes sense. Like something that I like actually am happy to do on campus has come from that. So if you can find that on whatever campus you're going to be attending, just kind of like this hub for volunteering and stuff. It's been really great for me. I've like been able to like try out a bunch of different volunteering opportunities, and each one of them has really like informed how I think of things, how I want to like see my future career. Like I was involved with like the Food Recovery Network, which just like goes every Thursday and Friday to like the dining halls on campus, and we like pick up any leftover food they have and take it over to the road home. Super easy, super like low commitment type of engagement. So there's one end of the spectrum that I think no matter what year you are in college, no matter what you're trying to do, just like looking for those like lower commitment things can be really nice. I met some cool friends through that, and it's just like it didn't take up a bunch of my time. And then, but also through the Benyon Center, I was really heavily involved in the alternative breaks program at the U. So that's like where during fall and spring break, we send out a bunch of different students to different like communities across the Western Seaboard, like San Diego, LA, Oakland, Seattle, Portland. And in each of those different sites, they learn about different social justice issues. So for example, in San Diego, they talk a lot about immigration. And so I've been really heavily involved in that program. I've gone on some of those trips. I led one this past spring. It was local, but we talked a lot about mass incarceration. That was the focus. So that's something that I was like spent a lot of time on. And again, that's all through like that one center where they have like staff that really like help you find what you're interested in and get you connected to the right people. So I would recommend finding those at whatever campus you're going to be attending. And then also, I'm pretty sure every campus does like the first week of the semester, the fall semester, they do like a Plaza Fest or like Club Rush or whatever they call it, where all the student groups, like the student organizations are tabling. They're like trying to get you to join the club. Definitely attend that. Get the free stuff that they're going to give you. I still have some of the free stuff. I'm not in the business school, but the amount of business school stuff I got around here, like, yeah, really coming in handy. So, yeah, get their free stuff and like look into what they have. There's a couple student groups that I got involved in from that, like the Students for Decarceration, the Climate Advocacy students, and yeah, and oh, and then the Students United for Reproductive Freedom. Like those are all things that like I was interested in learning more about, and I, instead of taking a class and paying tuition, I was able to just join their student club, see what was going on in terms of like campus conversations about those topics, and then they oftentimes like talk about what the community, like what's happening in the community. Like for example, on the Students United for Reproductive Freedom, we talked a lot about like Planned Parenthood in Utah and like abortion bills that were happening. So I learned a lot through that opportunity. And then the last thing that I wanted to say was, oh, and then I'm involved in student government. I have mixed feelings about that involvement too. I think each student government, it's run by students. So be prepared to like work with students. And I mean that in like the most loving way, that sometimes students don't answer their emails, things are disorganized. It is what it is. But I do think like it's a valuable leadership opportunity to just kind of learn more about higher education institutions, and specifically like student affairs stuff. So there was a long time where I was thinking like, oh, maybe I want to pursue like a career in education, like working in student affairs or something. I don't think that anymore, because I've learned through student government that that's just really not where I see myself. But again, like, and the other thing I want to say about student government is that it like I met a lot of great people. Like you get good connections on campus to like different offices. So I've been able to work a lot with like UCC, the university's counseling center, and the Basic Needs Center. So yeah, you build really good connections to like campus people if that's what you're interested in. And then also just I think it's like I don't want to say statistics, but it's like proven that like students who are involved in one thing are like more likely to be involved in many other things, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it's kind of like a this or that. Like students who are really involved, and students who are not involved aren't really involved in anything. So yeah, you get to meet like a lot of cool people that can connect you to other cool people, and it's just like a really great networking, like meet new people type thing. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts on that. All I know is that whatever institution you're going to, whatever year you're going to be, there's always going to be a lot of opportunities. It's going to be really overwhelming. Just dedicate your time to the things that you actually care about. I spent a lot of my undergrad doing things that I was like, oh, maybe this will be cool, and spending way too much time and energy into it when I knew for a long time that I didn't care. So just like you'll find your life will be so much happier if the only things you're doing are things that you like and that you feel rewarded by and that you enjoy. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely second that free stuff thing. If that's my one piece of advice is to get that free stuff. I haven't paid for a pen in like years. So wherever you go, get the free stuff. No, I was just kidding. But so yeah, my first couple of years I was involved with the sciences. It's like really weird. But I came from a science-based high school and I came and like entered the sciences. And I went to this program called the Refugees Program on campus. And it was not for me. I realized that when they started bringing out math and they started drawing weird shapes on the board, and I wasn't about it. So my first year when I entered college after that program, I went to an advisor, and my mom's an advisor, and she's super advocate about visiting your advisor and talking with them and gaining the advice about what classes might fit you and your goals and your personality. So I visited my advisor. She told me to take this Sociology 101 class. And I walked in and it was this lady, Dr. Martinez, and she started like cussing at the students, like right on point, like in a cool way. I don't know if it's cool, I don't know. But she was just really chill, really nice, and wanted to create that community within the class. But she also wanted us to do the best that we could in that class. So that whole time I learned from her, and you'll find professors that you just click with. And she was one of them for me. And just through like all of my years at college, I've took a lot of her classes, and that just sparked, you know, that interest with sociology and with the social sciences. And yeah, I guess the biggest thing when whatever institution again where you're at, there will be people there that will, you know, spark your interest that you didn't know was there. So be open to exploring and be open to those things that come your way, because you may not know how it may affect you and what it may lead you to in the end. So thank you, Joy and Will, for sharing. And I just want to open it up. I do have questions, but I do want to open it up to all of our scholars. Please feel free, to ask questions. Yeah, no shame at all. Like we're willing to answer anything, you know. But yeah, does anyone have a question that they would like to ask?
I do. So I know with both of you guys both shared, well, with all three of you guys shared your experience so far with your internship and like your extracurricular activities or other projects that you did work on. Do you guys hope on continue on with those projects, or do you guys see yourself pursuing like your master's degree program or PhD? Take everything that you've learned, connect with them, with Saulo and UPEC. Yeah. It could be for anyone.
I'll go. I guess what was really good about the ambassador program was that Moana and them try to match our interests with the specific internships that they had available. And so I'm interested in getting into healthcare. I want to do something in medicine. I'm not too sure what that is, but I'm still trying to figure out all of that. Right now, I'm currently thinking of going to PA school. And so, yeah, the internship really just helped me solidify that decision, and I guess I hope to continue with that. Although my internship is over, I'm still involved with UPIC. I still do the same things I used to do when I was technically an official intern, but I guess now I'm just a volunteer. And so, yeah, I'm still heavily involved with UPIC. I don't plan on leaving or just disappearing anytime soon. But yeah, did that answer your question? Or
Yeah, I can answer next. So, similar to Will, I actually do also want to go work in healthcare in some capacity. I actually thought it was really cool that the site that I worked at, that wasn't really their primary focus, right? They were more focused on building community leadership and fostering, again, those connections between higher education and the community. And so similarly, it really changed my opinion about healthcare and kind of how I view my role within it. I definitely want to be more community centered. And so it kind of derailed me from what I thought I wanted to do, which has been really scary because I'm graduating in the spring and like graduate school applications are opening and I'm really confused. So yeah, like I mentioned before, I'm at a crossroads. There's a lot of thinking that I should be doing about my life. So I know that it sounds like it was a bad thing that I was an intern, but it was actually a really good thing because it exposed me to what I had been denying for a really long time, which was that just like, you know, I was doing what my parents really wanted me to do. And I really needed to figure out like what I wanted to do. So to go back to your question of am I going to be working with like WLI and university neighborhood partners, I'm not working in the same capacity that I was as an intern, and I probably won't. Like the way that it works there is that they don't really need volunteers. The internship is kind of like the only time that they really need someone to like come on and assist, or like that's kind of the only thing that they have. So what I would be doing, like what I would, I guess, kind of to continue my connection with them is really just encourage a lot of people to engage with them. I know that like specifically for me, like my mom wants to like take their classes, and so like supporting her and anyone else who like wants to pursue that. The classes are, the other good thing about the classes there is that they're really inexpensive compared to tuition. So you're getting full credit bearing courses, but instead of paying $300 per credit like it is at the U, you're paying $30 for the whole class. So anyway, yeah, probably just encouraging more people to do that. And again, just like reimagining what it means to be a community focused healthcare worker and like working in primary care or being a PA, like Will said, or just finding some other way to engage, like whether that be a master's of public health or a master's of health administration. Those are things that I think about regularly that scare me. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Freddie, for your question. I'll answer too. I think for me, like I mentioned before, I didn't want to go to grad school. But last year when I did the summer bridge program and saw the graduate school panel, actually, I was just like, oh, this is cool. And I realized that I do love learning as much as much as it kind of is a lot sometimes, but I do love learning. And as much as I get scared of teaching, I do like teaching. Maybe not for kids, but I like teaching with other people and talking with other people. And so doing the summer bridge, doing my internships, and just leading up to the point of graduation, I decided to go to grad school. I just kind of decided to apply, and the things just kind of fell in place with UH. Things are still falling into place, so that I know that it's probably the right path for me if things are going well and smooth so far. And I'm still going into sociology. I still feel like that's one of my passions and my interests. I'm still doing the research that I'm doing, trying to continue that. It might change with my mentors down in UH, but still continuing that. And even though I might not still be involved with the initiative or UMP, I'll still be connected to everyone that I care about here, and just people that I've met So yeah, even moving forward with your college career, you still have those connections and those relationships. And sometimes they can resurface later on, which is really cool to see too. But yeah, thank you again. And does anyone else have any more questions?
I have a question. So I am applying now to the BSW program, but I don't know if I want to do that anymore because I honestly didn't like. I thought my policy class was interesting, but I was more interested in sociology. Like I love those classes. But I've been told by several people that I can't do much with my degree. Like I won't, basically been told I could be a professor, which I don't think I would make a very good professor. Or I don't know, research, just doing research. I don't know what, what I should do basically. And so I took an extra semester off and I was hoping that I could maybe, get some answers here. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, thank you, Suzanne, for your question. I think I can answer too, just because of the sociology background that I have right now. I also thought of social work too. And that it wasn't the path for me, but I just remember thinking about it, and a lot of the advice that I got from the people that I talked to were to try to get involved with that interest. So like if you want to try social work, you can do like a little internship, or you can kind of shadow somebody who's in social work and kind of see what they do. And maybe that'll, spark something in you. Maybe you see something that you would love to do. There's also internships, at the institution you go to. So like SLIC or the U, that can help you to maybe see what teaching is like, or maybe see what other community work is like. And with sociology, I heard that too. People kept telling me that too, that I can't find a job afterward. And I was like, oh no. But I think sociology can be used in many different places. And especially with the community, if you're interested in working with the community, it's just kind of trying to find what you love to do. And then sociology will kind of follow that too, or what social work or whatever you go into. So that's just kind of my advice. I'm still working on it too. And there's no easy answer, but also talk to advisors too, because they can help you. My mom was an advisor at SLIC, and they do a career, like a personality test, where you can kind of see where your personality matches up with a career path. And that also brings up majors that you could possibly go into, or different things like that. So I don't know if Will and Joy have other advice as well, but yeah, that's just my piece too. Thank you for your question again.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm not sure if you already answered it, but I was curious of, I'm also wanting to go into the health department as well. And I was just curious what made you guys want to go into medicine and just into the health department.
I can answer this one first. So again, like I mentioned, I grew up here in Salt Lake City, and so I've been around one of the most concentrated PI communities in the continental US. And so seeing a lot of the community need for better healthcare, and just the negative or like the poor health outcomes that our community experiences disproportionately was something that really pushed me, and I knew that I wanted to do. For me, I've always known that no matter what career, I've always wanted to work with our community. So it was more so, what do I have interest in outside of working with our community that I can help fill for our community needs. And so I care about I like learning about biology and chemistry and the human body. And so that's why I went into it. But also like more personally, like I've lost family members to things that I know were preventable had there been like better healthcare provided for them. So seeing that and being, directly impacted by that, that was something that really motivated me to want to be, one of the folks who are at the front lines of helping our community and alleviating some of that burden. And then also so I'm studying health, society, and policy, which is more like a public health outlook of healthcare. So talking about social determinants of health, talking about health administration, talking about my major basically studies COVID at this point, because so much of the content of our classes is directly related to things you saw with COVID. But yeah, just as I've gotten more into that program, I've just seen so many of the other motivators that I didn't realize I had to go into healthcare still present, of just caring about racial disparities and alleviating those. And there's so many ways that you can help people. And the fight goes on in so many places. I'm speaking more towards the fact that I care about racial justice. So the fight for that goes on in so many different sectors that, that's why I chose to go into healthcare.
I guess my path towards healthcare, this may sound a little bit cliche, but it's something that I'm really interested in. I still remember learning biology back in Tonga, and just learning about the inner workings of the human body and stuff. That was just something that really sparked an interest in me. And so I guess that's kind of where it all started. And, we've learned about the biology of the human body, all the chemistry that's involved in that. And so my interest purely came out of that. And then obviously coming out here and being involved in all of the community and stuff, and then realizing that, oh, wow, this is actually something that, my people need. There's a big need for representation in, I guess, healthcare. We need more brown people in healthcare. We need, there's been multiple research done on how we tend to just not go and seek help or seek professional help because we don't, I guess, trust is a really big issue for us Pacific Islanders. We have to trust the people that are treating us. And so that's just things that I realized later on as, I guess, I grew up and then have come here and have gone through all the experiences that we talked about earlier, have just solidified that for me. And I guess have helped me realize that this is what I really want to do. And so, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any more questions?
Sorry. I just want to come back to LaVey. Your question was really good because I'm sure you can see from my responses throughout today that college has made it really hard, or college really tests you on knowing yourself, if that makes sense, because you're pouring a lot of hours into these classes. And so if you don't care about them, it's really hard to be motivated to do it. And so what I'm really trying to say is, I don't know if you're going pre-med, pre-nursing, pre-dental, what I don't know what you're specifically, thinking. But I would say, especially because at the U, there's a lot of pre-med students just because we have a medical school. And so it attracts a lot of out-of-state students who want to go into medicine. Also, I'm sure a lot of people's mom and dad, like mine, told them to become doctors. So they say, let's go to college and become doctors. That's definitely something that is very pervasive, especially on the U's campus, but I'm sure at whatever other campuses you all are attending in the fall. But what I will say about going into healthcare is there will come a point in time where you'll have to really sit with yourself and be is this what I really want? Because it's like they said in the previous panel, like Luthi was saying in the previous panel, like there's a lot of hoops to jump through. It's not easy. They really want to weed you out. Like the system doesn't want you to like become a doctor. They make it as hard as possible for unknown reasons. But so that's what I would just say, like really think, and if you have other passions, spend time exploring those. Like that's what I really want to say is like I thought I wanted to go into higher ed and like work in higher education, so I like spent some time thinking about it, doing some like extracurricular work that really got me engaged with the people who are doing it. I thought I wanted to like go into climate advocacy, so I spent some time doing that. Like there's just so many other things that I thought I was interested in. Explore those 100%, because you can't have any regrets once it comes down time to like study for the MCAT or whatever program requirements you have for health. And I think that's true of really anything, so I don't want to make it seem like, oh, healthcare, it's the only one. But and I think that's the advice that I would give to everyone is, as you're pursuing something, try everything so that by the time you're about to graduate, you're not regretting your decisions and you're set and happy, like Kalei is going to become a doctorate. So yeah.
All right, thank you. And we have 2 last questions before we kind of wrap up everything. But the first question just to ask is, what kind of things, what kind of challenges have you faced this past year? And like, how have you either overcome them or started like that kind of process of healing? What are some ways that you've been able to kind of overcome those challenges? And Will, if you want to go first.
This past year, I'm sure COVID kind of ruined everybody's lives. So that was a big thing for me. Just trying to do school at home, and just trying to do like online school, like, and sit in front of my computer for like hours a day and just try to like focus and to complete assignments and stuff. That was a challenge. I mean, college in itself is just a challenge, but having to teach yourself things and having to develop the self-discipline and just be like, all right, I need to get to this. I need to teach myself biology. I need to teach myself chemistry. Like, and like the U does really does have a good job in providing resources. Like online tutors were free during COVID. That was an easy access you could have. All of my major science classes had, multiple TAs that we could just message and they would respond instantly. And so the U does a really good job in providing those resources, especially during COVID. And I have used those resources before COVID hit, but I guess they really came in handy because of COVID and everything. For me, I just couldn't do any like schoolwork at home. And so I just had to find creative ways to just get out of the house and do schoolwork elsewhere. I started riding the train. I would take, because your student ID card comes with free, I guess you could ride anywhere for free. And so I would just take the train up to Provo. The trains have Wi-Fi and stuff. So I would just sit in the train and do homework in there. And so I would just take the train in Provo, take it back down, take it back up again. And so I had to find creative ways to just get out of the house. The libraries were open, kind of. And so I would just go out, just get out, go to the library, sit there, do my homework and stuff. I'd find myself in the library almost every day. And that was on top of trying to work and trying to find money to eat. And so, yeah, I was doing all of that stuff and just trying to survive. But came out alive. Still on the grind, but yeah, I guess you guys are also students. You guys are also can relate to some degree in all of that. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll echo Will in that, yes, COVID was very hard for me. It was like mental health was very challenging for me during COVID, not being able to leave the house, constantly being behind screens and feeling very disconnected from people. So I echo that 100%. Something that I would say like more broadly has been probably one of the biggest challenges and is still maybe my biggest challenge in college is overcoming imposter syndrome. Um, Constantly just, and for folks maybe you don't know what imposter syndrome means, it's just feeling like you don't deserve to be where you're at, and that like you're kind of the imposter in a space, so feeling inadequacy all the time. And that's something that from the moment that I got accepted to the U until today when I'm on this panel with these other folks, I still deal with. And I can't necessarily pinpoint a specific thing that I could offer you all as like, how do you get over that? What is the cure-all for imposter syndrome? And I would say it's been my biggest challenge just because, like we've mentioned, there's so many resources at the university, but for me, I didn't feel like I deserved them, or I didn't feel good enough to utilize them at times, or just like feeling very embarrassed and anxious about everything that college brings. So I guess all I can really say is be prepared for that. And and just know that that's a very normal thing that many folks, go through imposter syndrome. And at the end of the day, like, you're not an imposter. You deserve everything that comes to you. I know, especially for me too, like, I've had folks say pretty disparaging things to me about like, oh, being like the token minority person, or things like that, being specific to identity, and that's been harmful for me. But I think overcoming that and realizing the mana that we have as a people, and also just that you deserve good things, is what I would say to that. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was like a challenge was, and I think I've kind of said this a little bit, but like just realizing my own identity, what I want out of life, what I want out of college. And I'm the type of person who's really uncomfortable with not having answers about the future. So like, I don't like the fact that I don't know what I'm doing after graduation, for example. Like, that's something that makes me very uncomfortable. I am very anxious about that because in my mind, I should be like prepping all these grad school applications. I should be prepping to take like big exams if I have to take like GRE or an MCAT or something. But I would say another piece of advice is just like, be comfortable with being uncomfortable with things like that. Like, you don't have to have all the answers right now. And yeah, like, college is a journey. You're gonna like learn a lot about yourself as an individual. You're gonna learn about hopefully your community. And then yeah, so imposter syndrome, fight that, and then be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, and everything will happen as it should, is kind of my takeaways.
Thank you both. I think this past year for me has been like burnout and senioritis. So Freddie, watch out for that, keep track of that. But you got this. I think what helped me was just kind of just trying to, it's okay to take breaks, especially with burnout. It's okay to take that break, take a walk. With senioritis, I still haven't figured out how to solve that one, but it's just kind of like remembering, all the stuff that you've done so far, and that you have a lot, to be done. Oh yeah, for real. But yeah, just remembering all the experiences that you've had so far. I did a lot of reflecting this past year, and that helped me to kind of push forward and say, oh, okay, I've done all this before, like I can do this now and get to that goal that I've been reaching toward and building up toward. And then now I'm gonna be the new kid in school again and a little freshman. So that's gonna be interesting too. But that was probably the two biggest challenges, were those two. And I would just say, be with family, enjoy that time being a senior. And yeah, you'll always like have a fresh thing to do. Probably that next year, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I have something new to do now. But yeah, so our last question, just to wrap everything up, is just what advice would you give our scholars? What things have you learned during your time at college that you wish you had known before, or that you would like to share with all of us? And I'll start with Joy.
Yeah, I guess I kind of jumped the gun because I feel like I already kind of answered this question a little bit, but just to I guess kind of wrap up and reiterate, again, not everything in your college experience, and I think that also not everything in college experience will be what you plan it out to be. Like, just because you plan to a T doesn't mean that it'll happen that way. I know that I'm definitely the planner type. I made my 4-year degree plan before I even came to the U, and so many of those things ended up changing. So be ready for that, be okay with that. It's natural and it's a good thing, really. I think especially from our panelists earlier today and just throughout this week, have talked about how kind of all over the place their educational journeys have taken them. And so I think that comes from being open-minded and, willing to just let things play out. So that's something that I would, prep you all for. Be ready for that, enjoy that. It is where probably some of the best changes happen for you as an individual. And then again, recognizing that you deserve good things, and you all are attending higher ed, and that's such an accomplishment in and of itself. And so as great things happen to you, as you are in spaces, I know that my freshman semester at the U, I was in most of my classes were 300 student lecture halls. So I felt very insignificant and small. But just recognizing that, you deserve to be there, that you are capable, and that you are going to do great things no matter what you're pursuing, is really going to carry you through. And then, yeah, I think that those things are things that I wish someone had told me, just because I didn't know that that was what college was. Mom and dad just told me, go to college, get a degree, and get out. So be prepared for a lot of self-discovery. I learned a lot about, my individual identity, not only as what I want to do as a career, but more specifically as a Pacifica person, and what that means. So there's a lot of great things to be learned, a lot of great experiences to be had. And I'm so excited for you all.
I guess it's my turn. I guess one thing that colleges don't really do well at is preparing their prospective students mentally for how hard college is. I'm this little kid in Tonga just sitting in front of my phone watching all these videos about people saying, oh, come to America, give us your money, we'll give you a degree. And then I get here and yeah. But yeah, you guys probably have a little bit of taste of what college classes are like and how difficult they can be. I did really well in my freshman year. My second year, I started taking my major classes in, biology and chemistry. And so if you're planning to take any of those classes, I had my first biology professor really prepared all of us for that. He was just like, this class is meant to weed out the weak. And if you're not prepared to focus, and if you're not committed to work and to put 100% into this class, you will fail. And so I took that to heart, and he wasn't joking. It was a really difficult class. And so I wasn't really mentally prepared for that at that time. And we had our class had our first test, the average was an F. That's how impossible this class was. And so I ended up withdrawing from that class my very first semester taking it. And then the next semester came around, I'm like, all right, I'm committed, I'm ready, and I will commit, and I will commit to, succeeding in this class. And so I took it again, and I did really well. And so just be mentally prepared for those difficult classes, especially if you're planning on taking any STEM classes, biology, chemistry, physics, all of that good stuff. You have all of those to look forward for. And so, yeah, just be mentally prepared for that. I guess one thing I would encourage is just be involved. Just don't spend your whole college experience stuck in your room studying 24/7. Get out there, do fun things. You can only do college once in your life, and so just have fun. Just try to make as much friends as you can possible. Um, Understand that people around you are all also college students, and so they're also looking to make friends. And so don't be afraid to make new friends and to meet new people. That's what college is all about. Just make sure you have a good time. Like, don't. I know it's stressful and it's hard, like I said before, but making sure that you have a good time and that you're having fun is an important bit for me, especially. And so, yeah, I've been able to find new friends, make new connections, and I just try to make this the most funnest experience that I can have, and to keep that in mind. Like, I can only do this once, and so I'm, YOLO. But yeah, I guess that's the only advice I have to give you guys. Thanks.
I totally echo everything that Joy and Will said. Just be you and create those spaces for all of us to be here and share with each other. And if you don't see those spaces where you're at, join those spaces if you see them. Just like this one, like Will said, get involved and also stay involved. And yeah, just keep pushing forward. It'll be good and it'll be super fun. And there's things that you are so unexpected that will come your way, that will change your life and help you. So thank you, Will and Joy, for joining us. And thank you to all our scholars. I'm super happy that we got to talk to you all. And I'll just pass it over to Moana now.